Hello everyone, this is David Haney. I'm a composer and pianist. I created a book called New York Jazz Stories. There are references in the book to locations that you might go to that might offer, archaeological information to support the stories. In most cases, there's nothing because the clubs or houses have been torn down. The question is, can you see in your surroundings a connection to the past? We're going to present some stories in each episode and then go to some of these locations and just sort of, get a feel for where these stories came from.
I was called at the last minute to play in a Dixieland band on a Turkish cruise ship, which was to set sail from Brooklyn to the Caribbean, through the Panama Canal, and up the West Coast. The leader of the band was a moldy fig cornetist named Walter Bowe, who was subsequently sent to prison for plotting to blow up the Statue of Liberty in the company of a couple of FBI agents. The clarinetist was Ted Bellefeld, the sculptor who also happened to own a clarinet. Now the drummer, whose name I don't recall, was a relentlessly flashy bebopper. And then there was Herbie.
Hello? Oh, hey. Oh, not much, just watching some of my old shows, getting ready for my big gig next week in New York. Yeah. No, I thought I'd actually make a lot of changes. I've got some ideas how to do the show differently this time. Yeah. Yeah. No. Okay, yeah. Don't make too many changes. All right. Tying in my own personal experiences with the jazz stories. So I'm heading out tomorrow, and before I leave town here, I wanted to go down and just check out into a place that was called the Jazz Quarry, and it's where my piano teacher played. I used to go there often and listen to him. He would let me sit in between sets and play some of my compositions, as far off field as they may have been. Anyway, let's head downtown and check it out, okay? Just waiting for a bus.
We met at a pier in Brooklyn and set sail. And as soon as we'd left land, our salary was cut. Herbie made a dash for the rail, but we restrained him. As I recall, Herbie had pretty much no baggage, just his black suit, white shirt, and tie, which was all I'd ever seen him wear.
Yeah, the most creative gigs are not money-making endeavors. So a loss is to be expected. Yeah. As Lester Young told a musician one time who couldn't make an out-of-town gig because of low pay, he said, "Man, you gotta save up for those out-of-town gigs."
We set up in the ship's salon for tea time and launched into the standard Dixieland repertoire. we promptly emptied the room, and it stayed pretty much empty for all of our subsequent performances. The ship's amenities were minimal. Dinner was lamb chops and chocolate ice cream every night.
They edited the shots.
No, I was working on this, the elevator pitch.
Oh, right. Oh, you're gonna try it in the
Well, I
elevator?
thought, these things are just running now,
Or what are you experimenting?
Yeah, I wanted to do a little shot in this. The elevator pitch. Creative retelling of stories heard from New York jazz musicians. All right. Any luck with the tripod?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't take a look at it yet, though, so I don't know if it's actually.
Oh,
The thing is, though, usually you can take video off the front or the back.
I want to get a location shot for Michelle's as we come up to it. And if you can help just film or listen or interact somehow, I'm not quite sure yet. It's sort of being improvised as we go along. It's for a mock pilot. Oh God, we're only going to use just a few seconds literally of all this.
Okay.
What was Monk doing? He was dancing. Okay, doing here. So, what Monk was doing, he was quite voluminous at the time, And he was like, he was getting up from the piano. And he was like a bear dancing, and he was responding to their moves. This is what Monk was doing. Different, better, worse. Keep it going.
I kind of think it was working the way you had it before.
Yes.
Without all the. It's good.
Like the original thing?
Well, it was working.
Yeah. To be a musician, there are so many directions where you want to go. You want to make a lot of money? You want to do pop? Play a piano bar? You want to play a little burlesque? Or what? There are so many directions in music. Which way you want to go? Now, when you go to the motherland, Africa, the first language is music. I don't care if you go to Morocco or South Africa. So that tradition carried on with us. So when we grew up, it was just a natural law. Everybody knew musicians. And we heard all kinds of music. Calypso, black church on Sunday, the blues. Our parents might bring in some kind of opera. So we had all kinds of music. So that's why I say it was incredible. Man, people like Herbie Nichols, people like Elmo Hope, people like Walter Bishop, oh man, Sonny Clark, so many wonderful pianists in their 20s. who were already professional. And, sometimes we hang out 2 or 3 days without going to bed. A friend of mine knew every after-hours club in Harlem. So he'd take me after his gig and we'd go to these after-hours places. And 4 in the morning, bam, the sun would hit you right in the eyes. That period was incredible. The most important part, it was the parents who took us to hear everything. It was our parents who took us to the black church. It was our parents who would bring in the best music into our houses, and different music, man. They might come up with an opera, or come in with calypso music. So even our mothers and fathers, they were the ones who taught us about music. And we had to take piano lessons or dance lessons or violin. Man, it was a period of serious segregation, but culturally rich. Harlem, Brooklyn, Kansas City, all the cities, Chicago, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and everybody had to be original. You couldn't sound like somebody else. Get out of the way. You better have your own thing.
I've been preparing for months. Can't think of anything that I'm going to forget. Other than these new ideas I have for the show, I think I'm good to go. Well, here's one more. Red Kelly and Red Mitchell were sharing an apartment together on the Upper West Side. And Red Narvo, he'd just lost Charlie Mingus, and he'd left the trio. So he heard Mitchell play down in Birdland, but it was kind of dark down there. Didn't really get a good chance to look at him, but he says, man, I got to get that guy's number. So he gets the number and he calls him up. The voice answers and he goes, hello? He says, hello? Is this Red? Kelly says, yeah. And he says, well, this is Red Norvo. I got a gig in Chicago for a week. You want to come and do it with me? And he says, yeah, sure. Okay, well, I'll come on out and get you. So they get in the car and they drive out and they get to around Cleveland. And Norvo, he turns around to Red and says, say, Mitchell, are you getting hungry? And he says, Mitchell, I'm Kelly. In the middle of the night, in the Caribbean, I was awakened by a loud clunk, followed by a weird silence. In the morning, we were told that the engine was broke. We wallowed in the open water for a couple of days, as I recall. And without refrigeration, the chocolate ice cream melted and it was dumped overboard, forming a sickly, dark scum on the water. Eventually, we were joined by another boat, which towed us to Jamaica, apparently the nearest port. We were ferried ashore with all the other passengers when it became clear that the boat wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. The U.S. diplomatic representatives did what they could with us all. Our band was lodged for free in a local motel in exchange for performing by the pool. We spent a couple days in limbo, exploring the island, and we were flown to New York. We had no money. The U.S. government paid our fares. We arrived in Manhattan with barely enough money between us to get back to our homes. Herbie was a pleasure. He wrote poetry daily during our adventure and showed it to me every evening. I ended up with several pages of verse in his own elegant hand. And of course, he played beautifully.